Welcome to the Killer Innovation Show, the longest continuously produced podcast in history. Each week, Phil McKinney brings you the insights and strategies to amplify your creativity and innovation skills. Here's your host, Phil McKinney.
Welcome to the Killer Innovations Podcast, where pioneering thinkers and game changers just like you share their journeys of invention and discovery. Today's episode will stir the appetites of tech enthusiasts and foodies alike as we explore the savory intersection of AI and the culinary world. Picture this. You're craving a meal that hits just the right spot, maybe something spicy or a dish that adheres to your keto diet. But the question is, where do you go? Online reviews are a mixed bag, often subjective and many times overwhelming. What if there was someone, or better yet, something, that knew your taste down to the T and could guide you to your next great dining experience? Meet Fisayo Oluwadiya, an engineer with a flavorful twist. Going beyond the binary code, she's a food writer and an entrepreneur. Her creation, Resactly, is a web application that employs artificial intelligence to serve personalized restaurant recommendations that cater to your palate and dietary preferences. How often have you found yourself skeptical of that 5-star review rating on the windowsill of a restaurant? Resactly is the solution, bridging the gap by providing objective, tailored advice akin to a discerning friend's suggestion. Challenges along the way? You betcha. They're part of the territory of being an entrepreneur. So Sia gets real about the obstacles like securing funding and the roller coaster of entrepreneurship. Join us as we journey through her story, a testament of how AI can revolutionize our dining experiences and inspiration to follow our fervor to forge new paths. But before we jump into this week's episode, follow, like, and share us on your favorite social media platforms. This is a great way to help us reach more people and spread the word about our podcast. If you're not receiving the free weekly newsletter, go over and visit philmckinney.com and click membership to sign up. Now, let's dive in to this week's episode. So as a regular listener to this show, you most likely saw the notice that went out when I was asked by a new online website called Intro to become one of their online experts. So Intro basically allows particularly entrepreneurs and startups, but others also, to reach out to people who may be able to give them advice, give them some input, give them some feedback on their ideas, their startups, their businesses, decisions that they're trying to make. So I've been on Intro, and actually one of the people that reached out and scheduled time with me had such an interesting idea that I wanted to bring her onto the show. For one, for you to get the benefit of listening to the stories of going from idea through and currently in the process of how do you take that idea and really drive it and bring it to market. Just so you know, and I think everybody here knows because it's kind of the way we operate here at the show, such as if you buy my book or you buy the posters over at innovation.tools, 100% of all that revenue goes to charity. And the same with everything that I do at Intro. It's not a money maker for me. It's actually a pretty convenient way for me to find interesting entrepreneurs and hear what they're working on and give them some advice and hopefully be helpful in the process of taking their ideas and bring it to market. So we've got a really exciting guest today. Again, this is somebody who reached out to me through an intro session, and we did a video call. And I thought the idea and the concept, it's a lot different than anything I've done in my past career. So it was very interesting and exciting from that perspective. But also, I think it'd be interesting for you as a regular listener of the podcast. So let's just jump in right to this one right away. So this is, Fisayo, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself just briefly to give a little bit of context to the people here, and then you and I can, one, start to catch up since the last time we talked, and share your story with the listeners.
All right, great. Thank you so much for having me, Phil. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me on intro and also inviting me on the show. So, my name is Fisayo Oluwadiya. I am an engineer, a coder. I have been one for almost 20 years now. Um, the product aside from being a coder, I'm also a food writer. And the product I'm actually going to talk about was a way for me to combine the two together while on the path to joining the AI, basically gold rush is what I'll say. Because it's
Every
the new
e-
age.
everything has to have AI in it, right? You gotta have the AI in every product out there.
Absolutely, AI everything. And for me, it was a case of I am trying to. So basically, where this all started. Let's start with where this all started. Everyone was talking about AI. I'm looking at OpenAI. I'm looking at Bard. I'm looking at all these things, and I'm thinking, okay, 20 years in the industry as a coder, you should have your own product by now. Whether you're going to jump deep into a startup and it takes off, or it's just something you do on the side forever. It's just, you should just have an idea and jump into it. So I started looking at different industries. I started my industry in finance. I was thinking, okay, let's do something in finance. What can we do? And I was thinking, okay, a subscription based payment, credit card payment system where you don't pay a percentage of the amount you're transferring. So basically, with all the PayPal and others, if you want to make a payment via credit card, you have to pay a percentage. I
Right?
thought, okay,
Yep.
eliminate all of that and just make it subscription based. I think I spent maybe a month on that before I got bored. I just couldn't continue building it. So I was thinking to myself, I really need to find something that I can sink my teeth into that I actually have a passion and I'm obsessed about. And that's where I was thinking I tossed myself essentially into this career of being a food writer 5 years ago. There has to be a way to combine food writing with tech, bringing AI into the entire mix. So I was sitting back and thinking about it. Ultimately, what I do when I write about food is I'm recommending things. How about we just have a computer recommend things? So that was basically where it started as I started to dig deeper and take my subjectiveness of how I pick restaurants, go out to them, review, taste, come back, analyze. It's like I can actually get requirements out of this. And then I started writing it down. And the more I dug into it, the more questions I asked, the more excited I got. I was like, okay, this could help eaters in this way. This could help me as a food writer in this way. This could help restaurants in this way. And the ideas just kept on coming, kept on coming. So this basically has been my whole ecosystem and who I am for the past year. I've spent every waking moment on this product. And I know I was supposed to introduce myself and I ended up talking about product. You
Yeah.
see where
Well,
this is.
this happened the last time we talked too.
You see, the obsession is there. The
Yeah, but
obsession.
but but it's in the but the point though is every innovator that I've ever had a conversation with, right? They're so passionate about their idea. They're so passionate about their product. Now, I will have to tell you, when I was after our last call, and I was talking with my wife, and I was talking with Kim McNicholas, who you appeared on her show, um, and I made that introduction for you to help. Again, I think what you've got is pretty interesting. So, getting the word out there, and I was telling Kim about it, and I'm like, and both Kim and my wife both said, "Now hold it, a geek who's a foodie. That is a rarity. You do not find, my wife would not classify me as a foodie by any stretch. If it's not Five Guys or Smash Burgers, it doesn't kind of rate onto my screen kind of a thing, right? Um,
No,
but it was funny
I,
that both my wife and Kim both had the same comment. A
I,
geek who's a foodie.
I get that from everybody. I get that from everybody. When I first became a principal engineer, which is what triggered me becoming a food writer, um, I basically, when I meet people at social functions, they'd say, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm an engineer. I'm a coder." And you could see people's eyes rolling in the back of their head. I'm like, "Oh, they're not really interested." And then I said, "I'm a food writer." All of a sudden, I'm the life of the party. So it became a case of, all right, I don't really have friends and I'm trying to meet people. I guess I have to introduce myself as a food writer. This is a win.
So you're a food writer who just happens to code.
That is what I had to become. That's exactly what I had to become. It is like I went to school for how many years? I have how many years of experience being a coder? I'm so proud of myself, but something I just happen to be naturally good at, which is food, eating, tasting, and writing. I have zero training for this. This is what people get excited about.
Well, but it is, but it is somewhat stereotypical. Okay, not stereotypical that you're a geek who likes to, who's a foodie. Okay, that's unique. But the issue is the passion may not be what their degree's in. My original degree focus was architecture, right? And I ended up as a software engineer. You
Wow, okay.
know? um, and then I never finished college, right? So, you can
Oh,
uh
really?
you can you can listen to my TED talk if you want to get the whole history of how that all happened
I need to know
over
that.
time. But but passion, there's some people, like, this is where, if you know Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs on Discovery Channel, I know Mike. He was a spokesperson for us at HP when I was there. Um, Mike will come out and say, "Don't do your passion. Passion doesn't have a role." This is where Mike and I disagree, because I do think, like you said, though, you thought about finance, got bored, right? Taking an idea, turning it into a solution, a product, is hard. You got to have endurance. You got to have grit. You got to be willing to deal with all the disappointments and doing things you don't even, may not know how to do. So you got to find somebody who can advise you to get to that next level. Um, but this is like I said, Mike Rowe and I don't agree on this. He believes that you don't do passion. My view is you need that passion. You need that something that inside of you is going to drive you to be successful. Because otherwise, sticking at it for years and years and years, like I said, I'm going into year 20 on the podcast, started in 2005. I got listeners now who were not even born in 2005 when I started the show. And they love to send me emails and remind me of that. I'm like, I got grandkids. Like my granddaughter's turning 12. you know,
Oh,
I got, I got, I, I got grandkids that are younger than my podcast, so, but it's passion. It's a passion project for me. I didn't go to radio school or journalism. That's not my background, but it's a passion project. So on the foodie side, though, you and I had this conversation when we talked last time. You know, it, the one of the things on the AI front, right? There's been recommendation engines out there. There's recommendation engines from Yelp. You go look at your score. Some cases, there's been some people that have attempted to match people, almost like creating a digital twin. Find somebody who kind of likes the same things you do, and then whatever, if they find something to recommend, then more likely that you're going to like it. There's been all kinds of maturations on it, but you're coming at it a little bit differently on applying. How do you apply the AI? So talk us through why the AI element you think is such an important part of this solution that you're working on.
what I'm doing here is, at a baseline, I'm completely removing subjectivity. I feel that all of these rating sites, um, it's taking the group think, so to speak, as far as what people believe
Mhm.
rating of a restaurant is, and it's using that to recommend. It's taking the subjectivity of the world and applying it to the recommendation of one person. And there's a type of person that goes onto a rating site. Either they had an absolutely tremendous experience or they had a horrible experience. It's basically the opposite edge of the spectrum. So it's really far, which will make it absolutely impossible for you to get the actual correct recommendation when you're talking about an individual. So just to prove that point, while I was initially building this out, I actually pulled in reviews from TripAdvisor and Yelp. They offer APIs that allow you to do that. So I take a restaurant, I pull in all of the reviews from Yelp, perform sentiment analysis on it, and I would say 99% of the time, I got all ones on my sentiment score. So that's 0 to 1, 0 horrible, 1 I loved it. Go to TripAdvisor, 99% of the time, you got zeros. It's like, okay, how is anybody supposed to make any sense of this and make a decision? So with that, I have also, even before I started doing the technical aspects of this, the sentiment analysis, I had also stepped back from review rating sites because I would be reading those reviews. People would say, oh, this restaurant is great, order this, order that. And I go in and it's not quite what I read, or don't go here, and I go. So pretty much I had already started stepping away from review sites. So because of that, I said, I'm actually not going to include reviews into my model. We're going to start, other people's reviews into my model. We're going to start bare bones basic. You're going to tell me everything about you. You give me your identity. The more you give me, the better my model is. So you're going to give me the ingredients you like. You're going to give me the cuisines you like, your favorite restaurants, preparations you hate, allergies, dietary restrictions. You are building your own image you're building your own persona profile, dining persona profile, and you're giving me that. And then my recommendation engine is taking that and using the information that I'm getting from restaurants. So the information I'm getting from restaurants, we're talking about the names of the dishes, the preparations, the ingredients. It's just doing, there is AI magic, recommendation magic happening, but those are the data points.
So in fact, I'm providing enough of that baseline for you, then it's not really me compared to somebody else. It's the matching to me. So it's very personalized. It's not this, I get lumped into this group of other people who like, traditional Americana type of food. But it really is, it's really driving to a level of personalization that's not out there today.
Yeah, so it's that, and it's also, so as we discussed when we're discussing on intro, this model, this recommendation engine that is on the release that's public right now, it's just the first engine. I am going to incorporate reviews into the recommendation engine, but it's not other people's reviews. It's your reviews.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to start providing information of, I went to this restaurant, I had this dish, I liked this one, this is why I liked it. And basically, I'm taking all of that information and running it into the second model, the second recommendation model that's currently under development. But it's always very personalized and objective and personalized to you and you alone. We're not bringing group into it.
And when we talked last time, one of the challenges that we have, my wife and I have, is my wife has pretty significant food allergies. In every restaurant we go to, it's hard until you get in, and then you got to have the chef come out, or you got to, because the people serving don't always know what all the ingredients are. Does it have egg? Does it have milk? Does it have this, and this? And the idea of having something that makes it easier to at least target, stay away from that. My wife's gluten-free, and she has gluten allergies. She also has an egg allergy. Other things like that. But just because it's so personalized, you actually can now find the needle in the haystack, the right combination of a restaurant that matches to the individual who want or can enjoy the meal there, and it doesn't turn into a big disappointment or something.
Yes, absolutely. And there are 2 points of integration that I am looking to make on that. One is currently underway, and that's basically getting the restaurants to come onto the platform and update their own information, getting them more engaged. So I have I just hired a marketing team, and we're starting to have those conversations so that restaurants are coming onto the platform and updating the information on their own. That's one point of integration. The second one, which I'm finding to be a little challenging, but this is where it's about being a people person, and I like my computer more than I like people, is basically all of the reservation platforms. I need them to be able to integrate with
Yep.
Resactly. Because if we're able to have that, you will make a reservation via a reservation platform. They will have your dining profile that I've already collected. The restaurants already have menus, and the reservation platforms already have menus and dishes and ingredients. This is something they're already naturally doing. So the restaurants have two options here. They can come to Resactly and update through my system, or they can keep on doing what they're doing through Resi and OpenTable. And I just have that information. And they're pushing that down to me. So having those 2 points of integration, which I'm actively working on, that will take it to the point that you're talking about, where there's no time wasted.
Yeah.
You get to the restaurant, you look at the app. Okay, well, before you get to the restaurant, you look at the app. This is the restaurant we're going to, and these are specifically the dishes that I'm ordering because it's already done everything for me.
Right.
Take it
Yeah, I mean, basically, he's telling you what can you have, what should you stay away from, or what could be modified, right? There's my wife's got this app on her Android phone that just does gluten-free restaurants. Because she can start with gluten-free, and then potentially they can take things out of it to make it work. But this has been a conversation point when I've mentioned what you're doing to other people, just to kind of my own little test marketing to see what people's interests are. Particularly people who are either very picky about their food, or who have very specific tastes. Those who are very experimental, they like to try a bunch of different things, or they have special needs, right? They're celiac or some other condition that they absolutely have to stay away from it, or maybe they have sensitivities or whatever, or preference. I just don't like that kind of food, right?
right.
But it's resonated. People are like, this. They don't. There's no way to do this today. Intelligently, sort of doing a search. I want restaurants that don't do bread, or that you got to create this like horrendous search criteria, and then you're going to
Right.
miss most of it because it's absolutely meaningless in the process.
Yes.
So where are you at now? And then what is, because you've started with the idea, you've got kind of first engine out there. How long did it take you to go from idea to the first version? And where are you at now within the process?
Okay. So I'm on second version.
Okay.
And the second version was a key feature, which it's basically group recommendations. So think about where you mentioned that your wife has these different allergies and dietary restrictions, and maybe you eat everything. So now you can create a group and you add both your wife and yourself to that group. And it has the group recommendation as far as what is the recommendation of a restaurant for you versus what's the recommendation of the restaurant for the two of you that you would like, and also showing the recommendation down to the dish level of what you should order and what she should order. So pretty much it's the group recommendation. That's version 2. Version 1 was released in last July. And that was just the individual recommendations.
Right.
And that model didn't take into consideration food preparation, favorite restaurants, and there were 2 or 3 additional attributes that the model didn't take. But I started adding that information as I was able to pull the data and keep on retraining my model to get it to the point that it is today. As for where I started, I got the idea 2022 December. I was playing around with the idea like okay, this is when I was giving up on the finance and trying to think of something new. So I was playing around with the idea, throwing it in my head. And then it was at that point in time I discovered intro. Um, and I spoke to somebody else on intro actually. And I just pitched the idea, just throwing it out there, like, hey, I'm thinking about this. He's someone that did a lot of investment in the food industry. And I thought, who better than to have a conversation with? And pitched the idea to him. And he was like, yeah, this is a great idea. Go ahead and build it. Come back to me when you've built it. So I have never coded so fast in my life. That's when my days went from 7 a.m. to 4 a.m. I'm waking up, I'm coding nonstop. So I was able to get a POC mockup done in 3 months. And then something I was like, okay, we can release this and have people start using it in 6 months. And then after that was when, so basically I was looking for funding and I wasn't getting a lot. I was putting things on credit card. I wasn't getting a lot of traction on getting funding. It was after July went and I was like, okay, I give up on looking for funding. I'm just going to pay for this one myself. So I started picking from my savings and putting stuff on credit card. But I'm in a good position now. We definitely love the tech industry and bonus season. So
I know that game. I know that. As I was telling you before we started recording, I did 13 startups on credit cards before I got my first IPO. My wife reminds me of that quite often, you know, about the early days, you know, and going through it. But you know, it sometimes, you know, you do what you got to do, right, for the to bring it to market. And so is the second generation done and out, or is it still in development, or?
The second generation is done and out. I am fixing some minor bugs right now.
Mm-hmm.
I also finally found an engineer that I hired to help me out with building it. So there's going to be a lot of development work that he's going to take on, and
Mm-hmm.
he's going to be building that out. I'm still driving and leading, but now I'm also going to be focusing more on the co-founder role, which is basically all of the business side of it, while finding somebody else who can handle the coding part of it.
Yeah, actually, it was interesting because when you and I talked on intro, you asked, one of the questions you asked was about how important it is for you to have, you know, to have that co-founder. And you know, my general view maybe is a little counter to some people, but I say partnering is good. Don't force it. Wait till the right one appears, because I've seen too many people just think they gotta go find a co-founder. Y Combinator is big on wanting you to have a co-founder, and other incubators are big on it. And I view co-founders are great. Fill in the skills gap you don't have. Don't force it, because you're talking about having a co-founder is about as close to having a marriage without getting married. You know,
really?
you know, it's you better really like the person, and you better really get along with that person, and you better really trust the person.
Okay.
You know, for a co-founder. So you definitely want to make sure that it's somebody that you can work with and who's complimentary. So it's you know, it's always good to do a little bit of work with them first before you jump into being a co-founder with them. And so now you've got the second generation. Where are you at now? Is your constraint funding? Is it getting early adoption, traction with users? Is it the partnering with the reservation system? Or could be all three, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is all three. It definitely is all three. But I feel like it was a blessing that I didn't find anybody to fund it, because I've been actually able to take my time and build things the way I wanted to build it. So even though it would be nice to not keep on putting this on my credit card. It's also great to have all of the control that I have. So as far as the funding is concerned, it would be nice, but I'm in no rush.
Yeah.
I'm good on that front. But at this point in time, I feel like I have a product that is good enough for people to start using. So I need people on the platform. I need eaters on the platform. I'm still building my feedback form to be able to get enough good information, but I
Mm-hmm.
have a contact us right now that people could click on and provide all the feedback that they want to give me. But I need that information.
Yep.
This is, I think this is the phase in startups that they call product market fit.
Yep.
So that is essentially what I'm trying to do right now. I need eaters, I need restaurants, I need people using the platform. So I get that information and that feedback. I can make this better.
Is the
Um,
is the training data you've used for your engine, is it geographically constrained? Like, for instance, I know you're in New York. You live in New York. Are you doing just New York and that area's restaurants, or is there a geographic constraint as to type of people you're looking to want to get onto the platform?
well, I mean, people there are a subset of restaurants that I've loaded onto the platform.
Okay.
So I've loaded New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, California, Washington D.C., Maryland, and Florida. So people who live in those locations, certainly they can go right onto the platform and search for restaurants in their local area.
Oh wow.
But at the same time, I pick these locations because these are locations that not only have good restaurant base, people want to visit.
Yep.
So that way it's also open. You want to visit these locations, all you have to do is search by the restaurant name if you know it or the location, and you have all of these options. And with your dining persona, it can recommend to you in those locations. As far as my training data is concerned, yes, I did train my data on New York restaurants, but ultimately, in the end, it was still a diversified view of New York
Right.
restaurants. I had Japanese restaurants, I had Indian restaurants, I had British restaurants, the whole gamut. And with that diversity of cuisines and the diversity of profiles of the restaurants and foods and ingredients, I definitely had a very diverse data set that I was able to train on.
Yeah.
Um,
Excellent. Excellent. So so I'm guessing now I've got the listener here is probably pounding on their car dash saying, "Phil, give us the darn URL because I want to try this app out." So where where would someone find and get access to the app as you're working on it here? What how would someone use it today, and where would they go to be able to use it today?
okay, so the app is currently a website.
Yep.
It's PWA. So you would go to the website. It's called Resactly, Resactly. It's a cute name. It's the acronym was restaurants. The statement was restaurants made exactly for you. I was like, that's too long. People won't type that in a address. Let's make that short. So it's Resactly. Um,
And don't worry if you're in your car driving. It'll be in the show notes. You can hop on over to Kill Innovations and look in the show notes, and you'll have the direct link. So that's the app, and then it's open to anybody. You're looking for anybody and
if
everybody if they're within those geographies, looking for restaurants to come on.
if they're within geographies, if I actually even outside of geographies, I need as much information as possible so I can keep on training my models. Something I want to point out is since it's a PWO, you can actually add it to your phone.
Hmm.
So if you're on your mobile phone, you can click on the share link at the top of your browser and you can add it to your home screen so it'll function as an app. I just haven't submitted it to app stores yet.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, then I would hope, given that I'm a tech show, that people would know how to load it onto their homepage. But you never know, right? And But yeah, I mean, I think for the listeners, this is an excellent opportunity to you know jump in and try it out and give feedback. We as a community, a number of listeners have developed apps and other systems, and they've published them. We promoted them to help them get a listener base. So this is an all out, all hands call. Hop on over. Let's try this out. Give some feedback. See what it's like, and don't and don't just give the thumbs up, thumbs down. Let's as an innovator, constructive feedback with suggestions, not just it didn't work, or the bugs or whatever. It's and I think this is an interesting use case. I mean, the and I've seen AI applied to everything. I was at CES and I was interviewing an entrepreneur at CES this year, and the whole demonstration was an AI powered toothbrush. So it's kind of the joke I was making about AI everything. But yeah, an AI powered toothbrush at CES this year. So it was.
What is it doing? Giving you training on how to
It
angle
actually,
a
it,
toothbrush?
that's what I thought. I laughed. I couldn't do the recording right away. I had to wait because I was laughing too hard when I thought about it. But when they explained it, it actually looks at and identifies the height of your teeth, and then it modifies the brush strokes up and down. It also can tell by the color of your gums whether how vigorous it should do. I mean, it does a fair amount of stuff. But I'm like, okay, I'm not big on oral health care. I'm not a big flosser. My wife is a huge flosser and she gets on me about it all the time. Not very personalized. Let's put it this way. Lots of training data, not very personalized. A little brutal in some cases if you're not a regular flosser. The toothbrush could be pretty rough on you. But, we've seen AI applied to a lot of things. But I think, again, I just think, what you've got going here is just uniquely interesting from the standpoint of particularly not just broad, chat GPT where everybody's logging in. This is very about applying AI to a very personalized view. So it's kind of a reverse of what most everybody else is out there trying to do with large data sets and training data and putting it into the AI. It's about that personalization, which I really like. I really like it. So as we wrap up, we're coming up on the bottom of the show here. What now you've been going through this. You started on the finance tech, the fintech piece. You moved over onto here. You're still pretty early in the process. We're still trying to get traction and market adoption. But you've got a long history in tech. What would, if you look back 10 years, 15 years, what do you know now you wish you knew then? What advice would you give yourself or to a listener who's thinking about taking their idea and moving forward? Because in many cases, it's fear that holds people back. It's the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen if I really step out. But what piece of advice would you give them?
Just do it. That's one. But I think a lot of people think about the end and how big it is, and they get scared of what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Break it down.
Yep.
Create steps, manageable ones. Take your time. I would advise that you keep it to yourself while you take your time so you don't end in my situation where I had to speed code because I was telling too many people. But just do it. Take your time. Set the goals. Plan. Execute.
Yep.
That's really all I have.
That's great advice. That's great advice. So again, my for the listeners, we will have links down in the show notes, so you'll be able to get all the coordinates, go try it out, play around with it, give feedback, spread the word, get your friends, get other people to try it out. This is an opportunity to get in early, see early stage tech, try it out, and be part of a community that helps. So that's my encouragement to you as a listener. So with that, thanks for taking this time. It's kind of late, I know, in New York this evening, but as you said, there's the day job and then there's the night job, right? And we've all done our side hustles, right? And I appreciate you taking the time coming on the show, and I'm sure we will have many conversations going forward as you move your idea forward. So thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Killer Innovations Podcast. Your curiosity and support drive our continuous journey through this fascinating realms of creativity and innovation. Each story we share is a tile in the mosaic of progress, and together, we gain the inspiration to push the boundaries of what's possible. I hope that this Sosia's journey struck a chord with you as it did with me. It's a reminder that our pursuits, powered by passion, can lead us to create something that resonates with others, simplifies life, or brings a little more joy to everyday experiences. Before we conclude, I want to invite you to become an ambassador for the power of innovation. If you found today's episode enlightening, please share it. Tell a friend about today's episode or share it on your social media platforms. Your recommendation are the lifeblood of our show, helping us reach new listeners and build a community passionate about change. Want to take it a step further? Subscribe and leave us a review. Your insights offer invaluable feedback and help us shape the content we produce. And who knows, your perspective might just spark the next big idea we explore on the show. Remember, every share, every like, and every conversation you start extends the reach of our innovation stories and insights. Your involvement is crucial in a world where one idea can ignite global change. So, as we wrap up today's episode, I would like to say a heartfelt thank you. Thank you for choosing to spend your time with us, for your enthusiasm to learn, and for your help to disperse these seeds of innovation. Until next time, keep innovating, keep dreaming, and keep sharing. What you do today can bring the breakthrough of tomorrow. Talk with you next week. Bye-bye.
Podcasting nonstop since 2005, this has been the Killer Innovation Show on the Innovators Network.